What's up, Night Owl? Steve here, back with another video, and today we're talking about the town of Targos. Targos, like Bryn Shander, is completely encircled by wooden walls. Now, the book doesn't say specifically how tall these walls are, like they do in Bryn Shander, so I just went with Bryn Shander's 30-foot walls, and I think that's a safe bet. Targos probably has the same height, or the walls have the same height as Bryn Shander. Targos is most well known for its fishing and has the largest fishing fleet. It has the biggest fishing industry. Pretty much everything in this town revolves around the knucklehead trout of Mare Dwalden. Now, to be honest, to cover Targos, I'm probably going to dip into some spoiler territory. So what I'll do is I'll cover the non-spoiler stuff first, and then close to the end of the video, I'll give a warning for the players that are watching the video. Spoilers ahead, and then I will talk about that because there's a lot going on behind the scenes of Targos. There's a lot of moving parts that I don't think the players should know about. In my games, I leave, like on Roll20, I leave the Targos section open in the journal for people to view. And because I consider these light spoilers, and as long as as a player, you're able to take this information and not use it in character, because it's mostly side things. It's not spoilers to the main story with Ariel and the big bad villains of the story. It's mostly side things and politics, really, is what it is. Politics of 10 towns. And yeah, so I'm going to leave a spoiler warning when I get to that point. So just be warned, players. DMs, obviously, you're good. You can see all that stuff. But spoiler warning for players coming up at the end of the video. I am going to dip into what your characters definitely won't know. As usual, let's have a look at that Targos stat block. They have a friendliness rating of 2, services 3, comfort 2, population of 1,000. They can muster up 200 soldiers, 16 vets. Their heraldry is a single-sailed black ship on a blue field, and their sacrifice to the Frostmaiden is humanoid. They do human sacrifices here once a month in Targos. The speaker of Targos is Naerth Maxwell Dinar, who is originally from the city of Luskan. He moved to 10 towns several years ago. Based off of description, doesn't give an exact amount of time, but based off of the description, he's probably been here, or he's probably been the speaker since before the Frostmaiden showed up. That may come up in your game, it may not, but based off of the description, what I was picking up, he was speaker before the Frostmaiden created the endless winter in 10 towns. Naerth rose to power pretty quickly due to his popularity with the fishermen, which makes sense given that he's from the town of Luskan. The very first point of interest I want to talk about here in Targos is the general goods store named Triglio, which gets its name from a song that the fishermen sing when they're out there doing their thing. This place is run by Justin Hunray, neutral good, male, human, commoner stat block. Justin is described as a scarecrow-like fellow who used to fish, but he crushed his hand in a collision with a boat from Tourmaline. What a fantastic way to describe a character. Scarecrow-like, and he's got one hand. As soon as I read that, I felt compelled to just up the creep factor on this character. I put a hook over that nub of his, and I gave him a wicked, huge, Joker-like grin with some crazy eyes and a really creepy voice. Don't be afraid to exaggerate NPC characteristics like that. It makes them so much more memorable. Just a pinch. And for Justin, I may have gone overboard with Justin. Oh, hello, adventurers. I trust you're staying warm in these cold, lonely nights. I mean, how else do you voice a character like that? Anyway, he sells common gear, but he does not sell fishing or sailing supplies. Those are specialty items in Targos. You can only get those from specific specialty merchants. The inn in Targos is known as the Luskan Arms, and it is the oldest inn in 10 towns. The Luskan Arms is modeled after, you guessed it, Luskan, and the speaker actually lives here in the inn, has his own little special room because this place reminds him of home, which is, again, Luskan. The floorboards here are rotten, which causes a draft to come up from the cellar, and the place is also infested with rats. The owner is Owen Tarsonell, who is a true neutral, male human with the commoner stat block. Owen is a quiet, balding man who has sunk into a deep depression, fearing that summer will never return to Icewind Dale. The direction that I took Owen is that he misses the water, and maybe the sunset over the water and the way the shoreline looks, and now it's just frozen over. His inn, after all, is overlooking the harbor, so he has to constantly wake up every day look outside and just see this frozen wasteland and just be depressed about it. So that's the direction that I went. Maybe he's got pictures or paintings rather on the walls of sunsets and boats and things like that. It is modeled after Luskin, and he probably really appreciates the ocean, the water, period. The next point of interest is Three Flags Sailing, which is a tavern in Targos. Fishermen come here for a bowl of stew and a quick pint before bed, and most of them are cold and miserable, and they're all worried about the future of Icewind Dale. Three Flags Sailing is run by a plump, gray-haired widow by the name of Ethan Yarbrough. Neutral good, female human commoner stat block. Ethan fusses at the fishermen like they were her children, and it's actually earned her the nickname Ma around the tavern. The direction that I took Ethan is that her children actually left Icewind Dale and Targos long ago, dreaming of something bigger. And because it says she's a widow, her husband died, so she kind of misses that whole motherly aspect, and that's why she gripes at all the fishermen. But deep down, she really loves them like her own children. And if the party spends enough time at Three Flags Sailing, Ethan may start getting attached to them and maybe even start helicopter parenting the party. You could use lines like, "You guys shouldn't be out in that wilderness. You're going to get ate by a Yeti," or "Fix your coat. You're going to freeze to death." Things like that. Just drop those little motherly lines, like constantly be on them about something. And if you're a player, just remember it's all coming from a place of love. She misses her husband. She misses those kids. Now we're moving into spoiler territory. So if you're a player in a Rime of the Frostmaiden game and you don't want spoilers, get out of here. Speaker Nerth Maxwell Dinar is a lawful evil male human with the spy stat block, and he is currently a Zentarim agent. Nerth is here to put a stranglehold on trade in Icewind Dale. The Zentarim want to turn Icewind Dale into a trade hub for the Black Network. Now, something for you to keep in mind as a DM is that Nerth is the Speaker of Targos, which means he has a bit of sway in the whole selection process for that humanoid sacrifice to the Frostmaiden. And keep in mind that alignment, lawful evil. Nerth may even use that selection process to get rid of political rivals or merchants who don't fall in line. I even went so far as to have one of the most prominent fishing businesses owners sacrificed to the Frostmaiden so that his incompetent son could take over and be puppeted by the Black Network. If you decide to go down that road, have a plan. Your party will probably follow up on that lead, and they may even chase it all the way down to the Speaker himself. So be ready for that. Have a plan. The party may even get rid of Nerth altogether. So there's going to be a power vacuum. There's going to be a new speaker. You got to be ready for all of that. If you decide to start using those political machinations, the party's going to chase it. They're going to bite into it, and Nerth will disappear depending on the party. There are two other towns in 10 towns that are having a bit of a political struggle, and I'll cover those in those specific videos, but Tourmaline and Goodmead. Now, both of those will provide a great deal of trade to the Black Network, Tourmaline being the Tourmaline gems and Goodmead being the Honeymead. And if your party gets a hold of the cauldron from the Toil and Trouble quest, they're going to want that too. And that's it for the town of Targos. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know how YouTube works. Hit those buttons, leave a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite of the 10 towns is. And if you're a DM looking for players looking for a DM, make sure you join the Discord, link in the description. Come by, ask questions, let me know what you think. And as always, I'll see you at sundown.